Welcome to episode 46 of the Toadstool Boardroom for the week of June 15th, 2023. My name's Logan Plant, and I'm joined this week by Justin Corais. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Logan.
We've been off for 2 weeks. Our last show was 2 weeks ago, so that probably means a lot of Zelda time, huh? Did you make a lot of progress?
I have. I finally was able to hunker down and spend some nights really making progress.
Nice.
So little by little, Hyrule was getting a little safer.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll tease a little bit, though. I finished it. I have finished Tears of the Kingdom's main story.
Nice.
So obviously no spoilers still in this show, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit about all that in a little bit. But let's start with one of the reasons that we were off last week is I was down in LA for some of the Summer Games Fest stuff that was going on. I didn't get to go hands-on with anything. I wasn't that fortunate, but I was down there covering a lot of the announcements. And of course, Justin, I was keeping an eye on what all is coming to Switch of everything that was announced. And I've kind of highlighted three big ones from all the summer showcases that are coming, and that's Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Sonic Superstars, Mortal Kombat 1, and one I'll toss in here for myself is they announced Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy, which is a compilation of Ace Attorney 4, 5, 6, which is long overdue. So I'm excited about that one. But yeah, let's talk about Prince of Persia. This game is really cool. It's a 2D Metroidvania coming from Ubisoft, the team behind Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins. It's got a, 2.5D. I've never loved that term, but that's what it is, I guess. 2.5D action platformer that looks really, really slick, Justin.
Yeah, it looks amazing. And honestly, it's I feel like that it's a series that really I didn't love the most recent Prince of Persia game. I've been really worried about the remake of Sands of Time that they've been doing. So as a longtime gamer who has a lot of really fond memories of playing Prince of Persia games, I've been kind of feeling like the franchise was sort of on life support. And then they dropped this trailer and it looks awesome. Mm-hmm. It goes back to its 2D action platformer roots, which I think is really smart. The color palette is bright and vibrant, and the action looks really slick, really smooth. I'm super into this one. I think that this could sneaky be one of the better games when it comes out. I think this could be excellent. If you haven't played the newer Rayman games, they're awesome.
Excellent.
I think they're perfect execution of what they set out to do, which was kind of a very colorful platformer. And I think if they can nail the action, which it looks like they do in this trailer, this could be great.
Yeah, in the pre-Justin era of the Boardroom, we did our ranking of Wii U games, and both Chris and Odell were sitting here telling me how good Rayman Legends was. And I hadn't played it yet. So I went and I played it, and I came back and I was like, wow, that game is incredible. That is a really, really good platformer.
It is one of the best platformers on the Wii U, and that's saying a lot given the fact that it's a first-party Nintendo console. Mm-hmm. Which also means I think we can anticipate a lot of creativity. Rayman Legends, there were interesting themes and twists and levels and things like that. Yeah. And while I expect this will probably be a little bit more straightforward, I'm prepared for there to be a lot of interesting wrinkles to how they build this out, and I just can't wait to see more.
And I thought something fascinating was they even said in the marketing materials for this game, a 2D Metroidvania. And I feel like it's really
they
interesting.
They specifically said that, yeah.
Instead of just a 2D exploration platformer or something like that. I think it's rare to see, especially a publisher as big as Ubisoft, use that word.
Yeah, they're a little indie developer will say that a lot of times, but somebody that big typically won't. I will say low key, the vibes that it actually gave it the most was strong Ori vibes, with how vibrant the colors were, how well lit it seemed to be, how smooth the action was, and that Metroidvania concept. If it is along those lines, but a little bit more action tuned, I'm gonna love this game. I'm extremely enthusiastic about it. Can I just say, though, I do have one teensy disappointment or worry or concern.
Okay.
And that is the fact that we haven't heard more about what's going on with the Sands of Time remake. And that the Sands of Time trilogy, in my opinion, is possibly the Sands of Time trilogy, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of 3D action platformers. And they to this day, I don't think things have done better than what they do in terms of with that kind of free flowing parkour and how free and smooth the movement felt. and combining that with really, really slick and tight combat, and doing it in a way where your movements in 3D space become part of combat, using things like wall runs and wall jumps, and swinging around on poles and using that in combat. And so, like, I really, really hope, as excited as I am about this, and I hope this doesn't mean that the Sands of Time remake is like going away, or that we don't also get a return to those 3D games at some point, because they are special games that are every bit as good today as they were the day they came out.
Yeah, the last we heard of the Sands of Time remake was actually last month, and they said it's in the conception phase still.
Yeah,
and it won't be at Ubisoft Forward. So
yeah,
that's a long ways out if we ever actually see it.
Yeah.
I'll say I've never played a Prince of Persia game. It's a total dark spot for me. So.
My goodness.
Yeah, never played them.
Yeah, and so I would, if you get your hands on like Sands of Time and Warrior Within, in particular, like amazing. And I do. I strongly believe that nothing has done what it does better since then. And those games came out a long time ago. So hopefully we get back to that. If nothing else, though, like this looks great.
Yeah, and it's going to be a $50 title. Saw some people not feeling good about that. I hate the devaluation of 2D games.
That sounds like a great deal to me.
I agree.
And well, and like the other comparison that I've seen people throw out is something like Metroid Dread, another like return to a high production value, high quality 2-dimensional game, and absolutely worth every penny. Like that, like you don't need to move on the Z axis to be worth being a full price game. That's not how this works.
Yeah, I know. Metroid Dread was the comparison that came to mind when I saw this getting announced. Like, a AAA publisher making a 2.5D Metroidvania game returning to an old franchise. It's like, yes, absolutely. So I'm excited about this one. I thought it looked fantastic. We saw another 2D game get announced, and that's Sonic Superstars, which is coming from Sonic Team itself. This is the first 2D game that they've solely developed since they're not the sole developers. They're actually working with a team that also made Hey Pikmin and Yoshi's New Island. So those games aren't great, but we'll see how this one turns out. But this is the first Sonic Team 2D game since like Sonic and Knuckles. Like it's been a really long time. I'm super excited about this one. I'm a huge Sonic guy. I think that everything we saw from this one looked absolutely great. It looks like they've really recreated the physics of classic 2D Sonic from the originals and from Sonic Mania. And I'm a fan of the art style. I think it looks nice. They're introducing some new powers, like he can ascend up a waterfall, a lot like a different hero we've been talking about a lot lately. But yeah, does this one do anything for you, Justin?
Yeah, it's piqued my curiosity. I'm not a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I'm also not like a Sonic the Hedgehog hater, and it seems to he's a weirdly divisive little blue hedgehog.
Yes.
And I don't think that's necessary. I played Sonic 1 and 2 quite a bit when they were out. I was the right age when those were fairly contemporary, and I liked them a lot. I was never that into the 3D titles. Like I thought the whole Dreamcast era was kind of an awkward phase. And then what was the latest one? The big open like
Frontiers.
Sonic Horizon Frontiers. That's it. I haven't played that, but I think that looks really cool. And people whose opinion I trust say it's really good. So I'm in favor of it. But no, I think this looks great. This gave me. One of the most cliche things that you can say, I feel like, in this industry is, this looks like what I thought they looked like when I was a kid. But that's pretty much exactly it. It's fast, it's smooth, it is really colorful, has a ton of personality. It's one I'm going to want to check out when it comes out. I think that this could be really, really cool. And I like the way that they're incorporating like lots of different characters, like Miles, like Knuckles, like Amy. I think it's going to be a solid game.
Man, you call him Miles. That's how you know you're OG. When you call Tails Miles.
Or Tails, yeah.
Yeah. Miles, Tails, Prower.
Miles Prower.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice one, Sega. This one's super exciting. I think that one of the most exciting tidbits to come out of Sonic Superstars for me was that they are doing all new levels. They're not going to Green Hill Zone. They're not going to
specifically called out Green Hill Zone.
That has been I wrote the story on this that got the Sonic community excited, which was cool because I've been complaining about this for years, so I knew that was the angle that people would want to know about. It's like we went to Green Hill Zone in Sonic Frontiers, in Sonic Forces, in Sonic Mania, and in Sonic Generations. Like the last 4 Sonic games. We've been to it every single time.
Mold breaking, I think, can be tough for a franchise, but a lot of
Yeah.
times it's exactly what you need to do, especially for something that's been around this long. And I will say, I'm extremely excited about the potential of multiplayer, local 4-player co-op and things like that.
Mhm.
I love playing Sonic 2. I would play with my older brother, and he would be Sonic, I would be Tails, and we played through the whole game that way, and it's a really, really fun time. I want to see more. I want to get my hands on this one.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think the closest comparison is like a Kirby's Return to Dreamland, like kind of going back to the roots, but in this 3D style with a focus
Yeah.
on multiplayer. Like it's all screaming that for me, and that game
Mhm.
turned out really great. Like or like a new Super Mario Brothers even. Like that's kind of what this looks like for Sonic. I know there's some
Yeah.
disappointment. It's not like the 16-bit style of Mania, but I think the art looks nice. I think it
Yeah.
looks really nice.
Honestly, I think that that retro look is overdone. I think it was really cool for a while as a throwback, but got to move on. Like stuff does need to advance.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Want to go hands on with it though. You never know with the
That's
Sonic.
exactly.
Until you
I need to feel it. Like
Yes.
if it feels good, then I think it'll be a game worth playing.
Yes, absolutely. And then the last one, this one was announced actually a while ago. We just kind of missed it in all the Zelda hype, and that's Mortal Kombat 1 is coming to Switch. It's not coming to PS4 and Xbox One. It is PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, and then Switch gets a port. And the news dropped actually tonight, the night we're recording, over on Nintendo Life. They're reporting that Shiver Entertainment, which worked on the Mortal Kombat 11 Switch port, is returning, and this time will be assisted by Saber Interactive, which worked on the Witcher 3 Switch port. So these teams know the hardware, but Justin, we're getting to the point where they're now porting games made for an even later console than the ones that we've been seeing ports of so far.
Yeah, and that has me nervous. I think that they're working with the right people to try and get as much out of this as possible. I mean, I think clearly this is not going to be the best place to play Mortal Kombat 1. I think if you look at The Witcher 3 as an example, it was a significantly better experience on other platforms. That being said, if all you have is access to a Switch, or conversely, if you want the portability and the ability to take this on and go, I think that this could still be a good value proposition. You and I were chatting before the show about some of this stuff, and one of the things that I mentioned is I've been playing a lot of MLB The Show on the Switch, which I also have on PlayStation, and it's like that portability factor is like you can't underrate how valuable that is. Even as somebody who I don't take it on road trips because I'm the old man dad, so I'm driving. Just being able to grab it out of the dock and sit on the couch when somebody else is using the TV, or it's summer's coming up, go out on the patio and chill with a glass of iced tea. And I think that the short time commitments of a fighting game to just quickly do a match or a couple of matches or play through a little bit of story is pretty well suited to that style of play. So if they can get this to run well enough, I think this could be good.
Yeah, I know some games do 30 FPS frame rate, but 60 FPS controls, inputs. So maybe that's something we see with this, but it's got to be
I would be very cautious. You and I have a bunch of friends who are also pretty hardcore fighting game aficionados. I would be pretty cautious about making it my main platform for something like that. I think because of limitations of the hardware and frame rate and things like that. And I think there is some potential for input lag. And frankly, I'm for a very long time, I'm always going to be a little skeptical of taking things online on a Nintendo platform. So I don't know that I'm incredibly enthusiastic about being a competitive online Mortal Kombat player. But I think for what looks like just a really cool reboot and what looks like it has, frankly, a pretty fun single player mode to play through, I think this is going to be a solid entry on the Nintendo Switch. And I will say, based on things like Zelda, people can squeeze a lot of performance out of that little thing. 2 degrees I would not have thought were possible 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think that it also just speaks to the success of the platform. Mortal Kombat 11 was on Switch. This tells us it must have done pretty well if they want to come back with its sequel and take the resources to make another port for it. It clearly sells 140
million-ish potential customers to sell to. So even if your sell-through rate is 1%, you're doing just fine.
Yeah. Yep, so that's Mortal Kombat 1. And then, I'll give one more shout to Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. I'm so excited about this, Justin. It's the Capcom showcase was not good, but we did get this out of it. And this is, the 4th, 5th, and 6th mainline games. 4 was on DS, and then 5 and 6 were on 3DS. And those last 2 were actually victims of the eShop shutdown. They never got physical releases in North America. So those are going to be available again to purchase, which is exciting. And yeah, this was part of the, you remember the Capcom like Giga Leak from like 4 years ago?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that in years.
Yeah, so it leaked like every announcement from Capcom for like, I don't know, the next 5 years. And the pandemic's happened in the middle of that. So that has pushed things back like 3 to 4 quarters back. But we're still following the schedule to a T. And on that schedule is Ace Attorney 7, which I'm sitting here waiting for. So I feel like this all but confirms it.
I'm happy for you. I'm not an Ace Attorney guy, but
Along with the different other series that I love.
But I'm very happy for you. Not to like go back over like all the shows recently, but like similarly, I wasn't extremely enthusiastic about the Capcom showcase. They did my boy Mega Man X dirty with just saying that hey, his mobile game is offline now. Which on the one hand, it is, I think, more things that exist purely online when they are ready to deprecate servers, they should have a move to an offline version. So I think that that's good, but it also means that us Mega Man X sickos are not eating at all. We starved to death decades ago. And like the lack of like, Monster Hunter World 2 would be a pretty cool announcement.
Yeah, would have been nice.
But still, keep on trucking. Yeah, they're very much you could have just put these in somebody else's showcase kind of showcase.
Yes. Yeah, and they would have been so late. Why did they do that?
It's weird.
Yeah. All right, so you can go Nintendo or non-Nintendo for this next question, but all these showcases over the last, 15 days, you can lump even in the Sony one from last month into this. What was your favorite game of this entire kind of summer event season?
Goodness. Yeah.
I can go first if you need a second, because I have 2.
Why don't you go first? Let me think about it for a sec.
I have 2 that come to mind immediately. First is Sonic Superstars. I'm super thrilled about that. That's an exciting one for me as a big Sonic fan, and just kind of thinking that we're entering another good era for Sonic. I mean, Mania kind of kicked it off a few years ago, and then Team Sonic Racing was a really good kart racer. You've had the movies generate, I think, a lot of goodwill for the character and the brand, and then Frontiers last year was a huge fan success. Like, fans love that game, and then getting this announcement for the next year, it's like, yeah, it's a good time again to be a Sonic fan after some very dark ages in recent years. So yeah, and then my second one would be not a Nintendo game, but I'm very excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I loved 7 Remake, and that trailer that they showed at the end of SGF was very good. I'm excited to see where they go with that story, because I loved everything about the remake. I thought it was fantastic.
And boy, man, there's increasing evidence that there's going to be some major shifts in that story coming into the next chapter.
Which I'm all about.
Just defying expectations. Yeah, boy, that's a tough one. There are a lot of things that I liked. I will say they almost all came from the Microsoft showcase. I thought their showcase was so much better than everybody else's combined. Although Ubisoft had a pretty solid showing. So like I'm a big Persona fan, and I've never played Persona 3, so I'm pretty excited about Persona 3 Reloaded. I'm a little disappointed that it's not content complete with the later version of Persona 3 that came out. I'm pretty high on Starfield.
Okay.
I love Skyrim. I love sci-fi. But it is tough because like some things that we saw, I think of every video game that was shown through this entire stretch, the one that will be the best game at the end is Hellblade 2. That to me, like it just oozes that like potential 10 out of 10 energy like every time I see it, and especially given like how good the first one was and the fact that the sequel has had a longer development cycle with a lot of resources behind it.
I said the first one on Switch. That came to Switch, didn't it? I think that is a cloud port. I think that's a Nintendo pick right there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think the sequel's coming to Switch, but I'm pretty sure the first one did.
It was originally a PlayStation exclusive, and then it came to obviously came to Microsoft because they bought the whole damn thing. Got that Microsoft money. Star Wars Outlaws showed really well. I'm gonna go with Senua's Saga. I'm just gonna stick with that. Even seeing just a little bit more of it, getting a chance to like hear the voices again and what it does. I think again, I stand by the idea that I think of every video game shown for this entire stretch, this will be the best one.
Okay. I'm curious to see how that pans out. Yeah, the Xbox did have a good show, which was good. They needed it. They needed a good show, and
they needed exactly what they came up with, and like not. I think one of the strongest things that they did was they did a really good job of like marketing. Like a lot of the games they showed are multi-platform, like a lot of them, but like they don't have the same like first party strength that Nintendo does, right? Like. There's frankly not a lot that's synonymous with Microsoft, and like the biggest platform that is in a terrible state right now, honestly. And again, you and I are both big Halo fans, so I don't feel bad saying that. And so really, what they're kind of competing against more is that multi-platform situation, and like they. By aligning all these big titles, especially a lot of Japanese titles with themselves, I think it does a good job appealing to like hardcore gamers in a way that's going to be good for good word of mouth. So yeah, they had a good show, but yeah, Hellblade. I really want to play Hellblade.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see if. Oh, go ahead.
I would say, and then my only other side is I'm about the biggest Sea of Thieves sicko you're ever going to find. Yeah. And so the Monkey Island content looks great. I had a chance to interview Ron Gilbert at PAX West last year, and really funny, really interesting guy. I know he's not tied into this project, but it is such a funny and quirky universe that I think fits really well into what they're doing. And like, man, if Microsoft ever opens stuff up to like porting to other systems, God, I'd love to play Sea of Thieves on the go. That on a handheld, it's cartoony graphics already, so you can take some artistic license with it and do some stuff with it. Man, that would be money.
Switch game. That'd be a very good Switch game.
But Rare making games for a Nintendo platform, never.
Inconceivable.
Right.
Yeah. We're still waiting to see if something like Persona 3 Reload is coming to Switch. They announced PlayStation platforms. There was like a retailer posted a Switch version of it with box art, but maybe they just made that mock-up. Like, we don't know. We don't know if this is coming to Switch yet.
And I hope that's true. Kind of similarly, like because of that cartoony art style and the fact that you don't need like HDR and ray tracing and things like that, and just the sort of the turn-based and
Persona 5 was just on it. It was just there.
I think the Nintendo Switch would be the best platform for Persona 3 Reloaded.
Yeah. So yeah, we're still waiting to see that. But that was the summer event season. I hope Nintendo chimes in here with something pretty soon. I definitely notice their absence. Hey, I told you 2 weeks ago, until we see the Mario Kart tracks, we're getting a direct, and we haven't seen them yet. We still haven't seen them.
Boy, the Nintendo Twitter has been steadily releasing news that probably would fit into a Nintendo Direct if they were doing one.
Yep. Including a new Pikmin 4 trailer that reveals character customization. We got that about a week ago, and yeah, I'm a really big fan of this. It's just a quick, minute and a half thing, and it shows off that you can design your explorer for the first time in the Pikmin series. It's always been kind of a distinct main character. You had Olimar, and then Louie, and then Alf, Brittany, Charlie in Pikmin 3. But in this one, you can make your own character. You can choose. There was a fair number of options, I thought, in this. They're not all the same size or shape. You can pick between a few different ones, pick gender, pick kind of skin tone, body size, all these things. So yeah, and that was just a little drop that came the day after they dropped everybody's 1-2 switch. Get people talking about something else. But yeah, what'd you think of this, Justin?
Well, first, I'm not going to let us move on without acknowledging the fact that was a really slick goddamn transition right there. Holy smokes, that was great.
See, I like to let it lie. I don't bring them up. I like to just let it happen.
You can let it lie. I'm going to appreciate the hell out of it.
Okay. Were you teeing me up? It felt like you were teeing me up.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Bro, do you think I am that well planned and thought out? Absolutely not. No, that was just great. Look, we devolved into a minute-long conversation about that. Clearly, I am not doing us any favors on runtime. But that's right. You're the host with the most. So the Pikmin 4 trailer, it was really funny. It was had multiple swerves in it, right? Where it's oh, here's Olimar. Oh, he's crash landed. All right, here's the rescuers. Oh, they're crash landed. So I like the tone that they're setting. I'm not the biggest Pikmin fan, but I think that it's a pretty slick tone. My biggest worry is that historically the Nintendo character creators have been pretty limited. I agree. They had what they showed was good variety. It seemed to be everything seemed to be almost like Mii's, where you have a head that you rotate through, a body that you rotate through, and then probably different color options and a freckle menu and things like that. I hope there's enough variety there that you can make some really interesting and or grotesque or very well personalized characters. just historically, I don't know that that's always been a high priority for Nintendo.
We'll say the best Nintendo character creator ever is tucked away in Miitopia. Do you remember this? They redid the Mii Maker for Miitopia only, and people created some insane Miis that look way more detailed than any
Yeah.
Mii you've seen before. So that was their last kind of instance of it. So yeah, we'll
Well,
see
hopefully.
with this, but I don't know.
Yeah, but like even you and I were playing Splatoon 3 together recently, and like even that character creator like has a decent number of options, but like once you've seen a couple dozen folks, it's just a lot of iterations of the same stuff. So hopefully they expand on that a lot. We haven't seen like the gameplay yet, so I'm really curious to see how that looks and how that plays out. If it's just Pikmin, but you don't get to be Olimar, I think to me I'm pretty tepid. But like if they do something really interesting and hopefully the fact that you're not, the iconic character of the series like opens them up to do weird stuff, then it could be fun.
I I have a feeling that Pikmin 4 is going to be sneakily one of the best games of the year. I think from a like review aggregate score, like OpenCritic, Metacritic, whatever you like, I think it's going to do extremely well.
I hope so. I'm always in favor of more good games.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a little bit, some teases of new mechanics. Like you're gonna have like a dog with you in this one that can like dig holes and new paths to open up for you. And they're introducing some new Pikmin types as well. I think Ice Pikmin is the new one, so that'll be plenty of new mechanics there. But I think this is gonna be a really good game. I'm excited to see more of it. But yeah, that's just over a month away. But on the topic of character creators, I don't mind when they're like very simple. I'm playing Street Fighter 6 right now. I'm actually getting more into it than I expected I would. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I main Ken, and I'm up to Iron 5-star rank, so not very high, but I'm getting up there.
You're chipping away.
And there's this World Tour mode where you customize your character, and man, I just get so overwhelmed when it's like, oh, cheekbone density and jawline length. I'm like, I don't care. I don't need this.
I don't need cyberpunk levels of customization. Like, again, if it really is just like a flip book of options for like head, body, legs, or whatever, I'm fine with that as long as there's a lot of variety of options and a lot of accessories that I can use in combinations that make sense to me. Like, I don't need to, I don't need to sit there painstakingly recreating this weird, like, big crooked nose of mine. Like, I just need to slap something on there and be happy with it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and talk about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm trying to fully actually wrap this game by Pikmin 4 because I want to play Pikmin 4 on launch and talk about it here on the show. So I finished it. I rolled credits on Tears of the Kingdom on Saturday night, and I've already picked it back up since then. I had a small play session where I was like, am I really still motivated since I already saw the end? And then I quickly pushed the past that. I was like, yes, there is so much left for me to do in this Hyrule that I'm very excited to finish. But yeah, so no spoilers about the ending. I think we're getting into the time where we can talk about most stuff that's not the ending. We're over a month in at this point, so we can kind of talk about most stuff besides that. But I will give my general ending impressions. I think on my ranking of the 3D Zelda finales, I'm putting this at number 2, right behind Twilight Princess. It does not cross the Puppet Zelda, Beast Ganon, horseback, sword duel, 4-part epic finale. What a great ending. That game.
Yeah, man.
But it gets close. It is very good. The music kind of in this lead up to the final encounter is incredible. I love the vibe and the music of it all. Final fight is great. Just as cinematic as the rest of the game has been. Awesome ending. Enormous improvement over Breath of the Wild, where I thought it was its weakest part. I thought the ending just really fell flat in that game. So yeah, phenomenal ending. I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled, and can't wait for you to see it because it's great.
I can't wait.
It's great. Yeah. So
so now that you finish it, you've had a little time to stew on it. Like, where is it in the pantheon? Like, where in the grand scheme of things? Like,
I think it's the greatest game ever made, and I don't even think it's close, like we've been talking about for the last month. I think it is. It's easily my favorite Zelda. It is easily my favorite game of all time. And if it's my favorite game of all time for the rest of my life, I will be happy with that, because I think it's just that damn good. That is how I'm feeling about it. It's how I felt about it the moment that the credit said the end, and I have felt that every day since, and I beat it 5 days ago. And it's just not fading at all, like no recency bias, I don't think, but man, what a moment. I just felt so excited and lucky that are all playing this right now. I just think it is the greatest thing. I'm even telling people it's my favorite piece of entertainment of all time. Like it's like my favorite thing ever, and I can't even believe that. Like with how hyped it was and how many expectations were on this thing for it to just blow us away how it did. Like, yeah. I'm actually writing a review of it right now for a local magazine in my town who was like, hey, we want a review of this. So I'm going to get a review printed of this. And I was actually writing that today. And
all right. Tri-Cities Tribune coming at you fast.
Yeah. So I might post a picture of that on my Twitter once that's printed.
I will want to read it once that's out. Yeah. I'm obviously, I haven't reached the end. I finally got to the point where I can start investing some like real hours to it. Not stuck in mortar anymore. And so I'm making steady progress. I finished the water temple. And I think even though I was like hesitant to like, oh, can I even say there's a water temple? Like, it's a Zelda game. And so I finished that, and I thought that sequence was really cool. The whole approach to it. I am constantly impressed by what a good job they do of making it feel like Breath of the Wild happened, right? And that you've made these connections and you make friends and you talk to characters like main characters like Sidon, who, boy, does he love you.
Yes, he does.
Or you also like just like speak to other characters, like more bit characters who like remember you. And so like this lived in world that they established is so strong, and the unique mechanics that go into every dungeon, I think, are really fun to play through. I'm constantly astounded by the way that it seems like they account for every possibility of things that you can do when you do things in weird orders or in unusual ways. It never really seems to punish you for that, which I think is really cool. Like a real simple one is I unlocked the tower in Zora's Domain, right, to unlock the whole map. And again, like, spoilers for the tower in Zora's Domain. All right, there's your warning. And it's covered in this sludge, and there's a warrior who's covered in sludge. And when you free him, like, he's like, "This, thank you. I'm going to give you my spear as a reward." And my inventory was full. He's like, "Oh, okay. I'm just hold on to this for you. Come back when you have inventory space, and I'll give it to you then." Just like the most simple little like nothing thing, but like somebody had to take time to like put work into that. Like you had to write the dialogue part, you had to script like if and like all these things to do. Like work went into just this one tiny interaction that is not going to even apply to a significant number of people who play this game. And so like it does that constantly. I have been spending a lot more time up in the depths. I still don't go up in the sky much. Oh my god, I almost forgot like the biggest thing. I finally got the Master Sword.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's not talk about that fully.
No, I agree. And I don't want to spoil that. Like, again, we'll do a full spoiler thing. The only thing I will say is this might be my favorite Master Sword moment in this series. Yes. When you finally get it. It's always, as a long-time series player, there is an emotional hit when you finally get to that point. Like, it always feels like a really big victory, a really big thing. But I sat on this one for a minute. Like when I had it, and I just had the sword, holding it. I took a bunch of pictures with it and different things, and like the way they apply things like the fusion mechanic, I think, are brilliant. And how they handle that. We'll talk about it more at a later date. But yeah, no, I'm continuing to love it. And I will say I've had some like long days at work and things like that where I've gotten home. I'm not super in the mood to play Zelda specifically, just because like I'm tired and I'm like, oh, it's such a big thing. Then I'll boot it up. I'll play it for 15 seconds and I am locked in and I don't want to do anything else.
Yes. That exact same thing happened to me throughout my. By the way, I rolled credits at 90 hours. Is when I felt ready to go finish this thing. And yeah, there were many times where I was like, oh gosh, I'm tired. I'm just going to like play some Splatoon or some Fall Guys or like something like that. And it's like, oh, I'm already open in Zelda. Like it's just constantly suspended. And I just pop in and it's just off. You just off to the races. And I feel like a lot of the things that I'm feeling super like passionate about it right now are things I don't want to talk about until the spoiler cast. Yeah. But yes, the Master Sword moment is easily one of my favorite in the entire franchise. like moments in general. It is incredible. It is surprising. It is emotional. It's brilliant. It is amazing.
Man. Getting to it and then what you have to do, and then like there's almost a little bit of a puzzle to it. Like,
yeah, it is. It's special. It's very special. Yeah, that moment and the end of the game are my two favorite.
I'm not there yet.
I know. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, they're very special. They're amazing. And then
it's funny. So you wrapped out around 90. I think I'm around 70 now, and I still need to uncover about half of the map. I haven't been to like 5 regions yet.
Yeah, if I look at my hero's path mode, and it's like by the time I did desert last. Gerudo was the last one I went.
I did Gerudo last.
And it's awesome. And I opened my hero's path, and you can see I just beelined there and beelined out. Like, I didn't explore it all. I was just ready to finish this thing. And now all that's waiting for me. Yeah, the desert is still there for me to go uncover and explore.
That's pretty great. Yeah, I'm quite the opposite. If you looked at mine, it would look like it's like if you've ever tried to fill in something using like a ballpoint pen, that's me in any region, just...
like an Etch-a-Sketch, like you're like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you ever try to block out an Etch-a-Sketch, that's me in any region. Like, I go there and I try and do everything. I'll show up, I'll do the tower. If there's a main quest there, like I'll work on that. But I am trying to do everything in every region. We talked about that. That's kind of why I didn't like Majora's Mask. Is this to me is how I like to do Zelda. Like when I'm in Elden, I want to know every rock, every nook and cranny. I want to like. You know, when you're like a little kid in a house, like, you know, you have a weird spot under the kitchen table that you hang out at, and like you hang out on these stairs, like, you know, every nook and cranny, like intimately in detail. And that's how I like to do all of these areas. Also means it takes me a while to play through these games.
This game has a lot of nooks and crannies. God, it's got
triple the nooks and crannies.
Yeah. It's just, and now I'm kind of diving into the depths a lot more. There's some insanely cool stuff down there.
The horrors in the depths. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know if we're ready to talk about some of those things or not, but like some of the fights you have down in the depths, even when you feel like you're becoming like a powerful character who can wade through anything, there are some fights that will knock you on your butt.
Yes. I went to another location in the Great Plateau that was special from Breath of the Wild, and there was a treasure chest there. And I got something very cool. I don't know if you've been there, but I got something very, very cool by going to a special Breath of the Wild place that I realized I'd missed the first time, and it was a nice surprise. So that's cool. Okay. I'm going to tell one spoilery story that I just think is incredible, and it goes back to kind of the branching dialogue you were talking about. And the spoilers here are for a costume that you can get. So if you don't want to hear about a costume you can get, go away. Sorry, Justin. You're about to hear what this is.
No, I'm just the way that they react to costume.
Yes. Okay, here it is. You can get a full costume to look like a Yiga clan member in this game. And when you have the full set, the interactions you have are just hilarious. Because there's there's the NPCs in the world that look like Hylians, but are then actually Yiga clan members. If you go up to them and you just have an inkling that they're a Yiga clan, you can kind of tell. Like, if they're just kind of standing in a random place doing nothing, you're like, that's probably Yiga. So you put that on, you go up to them, and you talk to them, and they're like, oh, hey, I'm looking for the hero. I'm waiting for Link to walk by. But you should probably take that mask off. Not let anyone know you're Yiga. I'm just like, that's just brilliant. Like, it's just absolutely brilliant. And then, like, when you go to Gerudo Town wearing that, they throw you in jail. Like, they hate you for wearing that there. When you talk to people in Kakariko, they are very unhappy with you as well, because like they're like defectors from the Sheikah. The Yiga clan are. So like, it's just incredible. And then you run into the Yiga clan master, right? You've encountered him in this.
Oh yeah, I've had some scrapes with Koga.
So you encounter Koga in the depths. Yep. And if you go up to him wearing this,
the reason he's in the depths is because you threw him in there,
which is just brilliant. That is also brilliant. You go up to him wearing the Yiga clan outfit, and he says, "I know that's you, Link. I can smell you," or something like that. It's like, I just love it. I love it. I love putting that one specifically on and just talking to people and see what they say. It's hilarious, and just the detail in this game is just immaculate and pretty unmatched. Yeah. So that's my story for this week. I'm just wearing that around, but in the depths, I did find a new hat that I am absolutely obsessed with, because there's very cool costumes in the depths. I won't say what it is, but there's very cool hats and clothes.
A lot of the best gears in the depths.
And I found one, and I liked it a lot personally, and I'm wearing it forever now. Yeah. What a game, though. Man, what a game.
Incredible.
When are we doing our spoiler cast? Next month, probably?
Yeah, boy, at the pace I'm playing through,
Yeah.
it might be a while. Like, I'm plugging away. I just got a new work project that's going to slow me down a little bit over the weekend, but I think I'll have it beat within the next 2 weeks. That's my guess.
Yeah. Early July, then. We'll
There you go,
set
early
for
July.
that. I'm not ready for it yet either, honestly. There's still things I want to do
Oh, yeah.
before I'm ready to go like full spoiler on this thing. Yeah, I'm trying to. Right now, my goals are I'm trying to complete all the side adventures, including the Lucky Clover, which is just brilliant. I love the Lucky Clover so much. Do you know what that is? You know what the Lucky
The
Clover
Lucky
is yet?
Clover?
You don't.
No.
Oh, you haven't even been there yet. Oh my gosh, it's the best line of side quests in the game. Man,
Sorry.
I should tell you where it is. You gotta go there.
I would say Akala is next on my to-do list, so I'm gonna head up there, go to Terrytown, start messing around with all of that.
Yeah.
And then I still need to do the mountains to the northwest, and then basically the entire bottom row of the map I haven't touched.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I got a ways to go.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, well, hopefully you'll stumble upon this quest line because it's awesome and it's my favorite, and I think you'll love it too. But I'm doing that. I'm wrapping all the side adventures. I'm doing every shrine, and I'm uncovering the depths map. Like, I've got a lot of goals. I've got a lot of goals before I put this thing down.
I have uncovered a lot of the depth.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and I can't wait to go full spoiler because, like I said, it is my new favorite game of all time. I just think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's been fun doing this show during it. And yeah, like I think we said a couple weeks ago, like, why rush this? Like, let's keep this going as long as we can. It's gonna be
You get
wild.
one chance to experience something for the first time before you're like, oh, I wish I could wipe my memory experience for the first time. So enjoy it.
Yeah, and yeah, I just wanted to finish it because like I was getting increasingly worried about seeing the ending online. And I wanted to go challenge the end before I had it, all the shrines, like before I had like a million hearts and the best armor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might fight it again when I'm done. Like when I have everything, go back and put a bow on the whole game by doing that end again. Yeah.
And fully conquering it.
Yeah. But we got a question related to Tears of the Kingdom. And this one was sent to toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. It says, this one comes from Chad. And Chad writes, I enjoyed your 3D Zelda retrospective episode, and I have a question about older 3D Zelda games. First, a brief backstory for context. Twilight Princess on the Wii was my first Zelda game. I loved playing and beating it as a tween around the time it was released, and I would happily play it again if the HD version ever makes it to Switch. I didn't play any other Zelda games after Twilight until I got back into gaming in early 2021 and played Breath of the Wild for over 135 hours. When the 3DS eShop discontinuation was announced, I purchased a bunch of 3DS games, including Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D. I've started playing Ocarina of Time 3D, but I find the game a bit difficult to get into after playing Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. For example, I was surprised to realize that the game warps Link back to his house every time you reboot the game. Little quality of life deficiencies like that make me less motivated to continue playing Ocarina of Time 3D, even though I greatly respect that game, realize its significance to video game history, and frankly feel somewhat guilty for not playing through the entire game for myself. So all that is to say, do you think my amazing experiences with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom has made it difficult for me to comprehensively enjoy playing older 3D Zelda games, even though I do respect them and sincerely want to enjoy them? So that comes from Chad. It's a big question, and it's one I think about a lot. And I actually was chatting with a friend of mine that says there's like Legend of Zelda fans, and then there's Breath of the Wild fans. And it's a big Venn diagram. Like there's crossovers of people that enjoy both for sure, but there are a large segment of people that do only like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom from this franchise because of how different they are. And I think it's totally fair. Like I totally understand it. But what's your take on this one, Justin?
Yeah, so to answer the question of whether or not his Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom experience make it more difficult to enjoy the other ones, yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Chad, you're in this weird spot where, especially in regards to like Twilight Princess, a lot of what it is just an iteration on the Ocarina of Time formula, which is actually the A Link to the Past formula. Like there's, again, you want to talk about Venn diagrams, that one's not quite a circle, but there's a lot of overlap between those two games and exactly what they're doing. It's almost, and like in a lot of ways, the early Zelda, like the Legend of Zelda was almost like a legend that was being retold in different ways over and over again. And that's kind of, I think, a lot of the shape for how those games came to be. And you're totally right. There are some like big quality of life things that the Nintendo 64 generation like didn't have and didn't exist at that time. What I will say is I do think Ocarina of the Time can stand on its own merits. I think that the story itself is different enough, and especially the back, I don't say half, but like post Master Sword is really divergent from a lot of the games that came afterwards. My suggestion, I will never tell somebody to play a game that you're not enjoying.
Oh yeah.
Like if you'd want to see everything that's in it, like you can watch Let's Plays of it, but don't make yourself play through something you're not having a good time. If you're not sure yet, I would suggest at least play through getting the Master Sword in Ocarina of Time. If by that point you're not feeling it and you're not into it, I don't think it's going to happen. When you play through that moment, the story is interesting enough, and you're starting to feel like it's got the hooks in you, then I think it's worth sticking out because it does a lot of really, really cool stuff. And yeah, I mean, a lot of what we see in the series originates in Ocarina of Time from a 3D standpoint. Would I play Majora's Mask?
And I would still argue that Ocarina of Time's dungeons are essential. Zelda dungeons, them and Twilight Princess, top 2 in the series.
Yeah,
in terms of dungeon design and quality, they are great.
I think most of them are really good. I don't know that it's essential to play them in 2023. Again, I think that if you want to see them, get a sense for what they're about, like see what they do thematically, because they do some really cool stuff thematically. I think again, watching a let's play is perfectly good, and I think if it's a knowledgeable let's play where they like do everything but they know where to go for everything, I don't think it's actually that long of a thing to watch through.
I play Ocarina of Time every year, and I beat it in about 8 hours. I know what I'm doing in that game.
Right. All right.
I know my way around.
All right. So if you're really desperate, we'll just get Logan to play it, and you can just watch it. Yeah. Exactly. And so that's my suggestion. But I do think, feeling like it's kind of tough to go back through some of these older titles when you played the newer ones, that is entirely valid. Like, don't let any but like oldie-timey gamers saying, oh, things were so much better back then. Like, there are things, even if the games were more groundbreaking at the time, there are quality of life things, like you call out, like starting back at his house every time, that absolutely do make it tougher, and that's okay. And if that makes it so you can't play it, that's totally fine. But again, my suggestion is if you are going to try and like stick it out through getting the Master Sword, and then decide then if you want to play through it.
Yeah, or play it with a guide. Like, play it with a walkthrough.
That's the other thing. If you are going to continue playing through it, and you're not like me, like a sicko like me who wants to flip over every rock, like play it with a guide. It's like a lot of video game design, honestly, was very obtuse for a long time and very unclear on goals and things like that. And Ocarina of Time like is as susceptible to that. I can't say words as anything else is. And so a guide, I think a guide of an older game can make an older game that you enjoy fine become a really good and rich experience because it takes away pain points that we've frankly gotten better about in game design.
I played the original Legend of Zelda on NES with a guide.
Don't play that without a guide.
And it was a great time. I really enjoyed playing that game through with a guide. It's a lot of fun. I tried with Zelda 2. I just don't really like Zelda 2. I tried. But yeah, the original was a lot of fun to play with a guy.
That's a conversation to have sometime. Yeah. I like Zelda 2. I completely understand people not liking Zelda 2.
Yeah, the dungeons are they're so hard. They're so brutal.
The whole game is so punishing.
Yeah. Anyways, I have a little bit of a different take here. You said you don't think Ocarina of Time, you need to play those dungeons today. I disagree. I think there's nothing else like them really in video games at all anymore. I think like when you talk about that lock and key structure, that like non-linear progression where you need to piece things together, like these dungeons and Ocarina specifically are like a micro Metroidvania. It is like a 1 to 2 hour Metroidvania, and I don't really think anything exists like that anymore. Like, even when you get to games like Twilight Princess, which has epic, huge, awesome dungeons, and Skyward Sword, they're more linear than they were in Ocarina of Time. Like, Ocarina of Time, you could be romping around with 3 keys, and you have no idea what doors they go to. You find a locked door, you try it. You figure it out. And I seriously, and I think Ocarina has the best example of them. I think they're immaculate. Eiji Aonuma designed them. He's still with the series today. I think it's worth pushing through. I still think Ocarina of Time, especially the 3DS version, really holds up. And here's a tip for you, Chad. When you get the Master Sword, you start to learn Ocarina songs that warp you around the world. So
Yeah.
even though you wake up in a certain place, you can instantly warp to one of these other hubs. And the world's really small. It's like the size of the Great Plateau. It's really, really small. So I say try and stick it out. Use a guide if you need to, but I think there's some essential Zelda stuff in there that is worth trying. And just don't compare it. Just like Zelda has evolved so much over its history. Like, you can't really make direct comparisons like that. Like saying, oh, it's not like Breath of the Wild. Yeah, it's not. And I get those games do a lot that these older ones don't, but just try and drop the comparisons. And I think you'll have an easier time if you just tell yourself, yep, this is an old game. It's got the Zelda name, but it is a very different game. Let's see what it's about. And I think see how it goes.
Only thing I'll add is if you make it through Jabu Jabu's belly and you're not ready to check the cartridge out of the window, you've got a good shot at making it to the end, okay?
It's the low point of that game. It is absolutely the low point.
People say it's the Water Temple. It's not.
Yep, it's Jabu Jabu. I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. That is... Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. It's totally true. The Water Temple's awesome. The Water Temple's a blast. I love that place.
It's fine. It's unfairly maligned, I think, in a lot of ways. But we can talk about it. Like it's very easy to like screw up the sequence and have to like redo everything, which is kind of annoying. Which like is literally exactly how it is in Twilight Princess 2, which is strange. But like other than that, I think it's actually pretty solid. And I will say like, some of them, like some of the things you do, like when like the themes get a lot darker and stuff, awesome.
Yes, and just the way that these
if you can get there and your enthusiasm is intact, you'll be rewarded for it.
Yes, I agree. I think that the dungeons do some nice things in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They try. The ones in this game are a big improvement over Breath of the Wild, but there are some moments.
It's still not the same thing.
In old dungeons where you do one thing that changes your entire viewpoint down the dungeon. And it's not going to the pause menu and changing the rotation of the camel in Breath of the Wild. It is like you make your way to the top of something.
It really was not good.
You hit a giant pillar and the entire layout is different. Or Majora's Mask, the Stone Tower Temple. Yeah, you do some crazy stuff.
You take a leap of faith off of a high platform and crash through a spiderweb floor and realize there's an entire another half to this place.
Yes, very cool stuff. So I think it's worth it, but don't ever feel guilty for not playing through something. Like, I think there was a time, especially when I first started to get into the industry, where it was like, oh, if you haven't played, like, Super Metroid, then you don't deserve to be covering games. It's just not true. Because, I mean, Justin will sit here and put 15 Super Nintendo games on the top 15 Nintendo games of all time list. But modern games are just way more approachable now. They just are. So I don't think you should ever be hard on yourself for not enjoying things. Games aren't homework. They're not chores. They're entertainment. So if you're not feeling something, whatever, walk away. We'll sit here and talk about how great it is, but you don't have to agree.
And I'm telling you, like a watch play is a very valid way to experience a let's play is a very valid way to experience a game and get a lot of it.
Yeah. Should I do my 8-hour run through of Ocarina of Time?
Ooh, I watch it
on Toadstool Boardroom's unused Twitch channel.
I could produce a show like that. Like I could fun. Like I could make that a real show.
I don't have a streaming kit for my 3DS though. I don't have a capture kit for that. I think those are kind of hard to come by.
I could figure that out.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Maybe. No promises. Speaking of no promises, Chad also asked if we were going to create a Toadstool Boardroom Discord.
The best.
Which, we're thinking about making one for fans and friends of the show. No details yet, but we got an email about that previously. We're thinking about it. Yeah, we don't know yet, but
I mean, I think it's all a question of like, are there enough people interested for it to like be a lively place that like serves folks? Like, we don't want to spool one up just to spool one up, right? Like, if people are watching or and listening to the show and like really want to like talk about stuff with us and each other, like that's what it comes down to. It's not really about us; it's about who else wants to.
So if you want one, email us toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com or tweet at us at toadstoolbr if that's something you'd be into. Yeah, I need people to play Splatoon with, so let's
do. We should play again soon.
We should.
We'll take that offline, but we should play again soon.
Yeah, Justin and I played 2 weeks ago after the show, and it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. Great game.
Dear listeners and watchers, do not mess with Logan in Splatoon. He is a ringer out there.
Don't do it. I'm S rank. Yeah. And don't mess with Justin in Halo, because we played that afterwards, and he's cleaning up.
I know my way around a Halo.
All right, let's wrap up the show here with our final listener question here, which comes from, I don't have the name. I got to check our email. I like to read the name. So sorry. Maybe I'll read the email while the name is loading. But this email comes from Anonymous, and it says, firstly, I want to say how great of a podcast this is. Whenever a notification for a new episode comes out, I stop everything I'm doing and listening. Well, thanks so much, Anonymous. I feel bad I don't have your name pulled up right now. Justin, fill the air for 10 seconds. You can do it.
Let's see. I think we should come up with an official name when we don't have a name for these emails. I think we should pull something out of the Nintendo ether. So if you have suggestions,
Okay, yeah.
like if we need to refer
Missing
to
no. There it is.
Yeah. So from now on, if you email us and we don't get your name, which may happen sometimes, you will be missing no going forward.
This is from Oscar. This email's from Oscar. Everyone on the show does an incredible job. Keep it up, please. Thank you, Oscar. My question is, with the Switch's successor around the corner, what are some shout-outs from you guys for some hidden gems on the Switch people should play before the next system comes out? Well, hopefully the next system is backwards compatible, so we don't need to have this discussion.
Seriously.
But we will answer it, though, just in case that happens. Oscar starts out by recommending SnowRunner. The gameplay can be hard to understand, but once you play it, it's very addicting. And when critics look back to contemplate about the best-looking Switch games, this game should be on their lists. Not only does it look great, but it runs great too. Recommended by former Boardroom guest Seth Macy, I'm now recommending this to the rest of the Boardroom and its listeners. It's on sale in the eShop very often too. Please keep the episodes rolling. Yeah, so SnowRunner on Switch. Yeah, it's like it's a
Check out
driving.
SnowRunner, everybody.
Yeah, you play as SnowRunner, driving game, puts you in the sea. It's an off-road experience on Switch. It's on sale right now until June 25th. Maybe we should try this game out on Oscar's recommendation. Justin, what comes to mind?
Yeah, I can think of a few things. And so I don't know if you want to like ping pong back and forth
Sure,
or
yeah,
what.
let's do that.
But I will say the first one that comes to mind, and I hope this qualifies. It's a bigger franchise, but it's one that a lot of people I think may overlook, and that's Digimon Survive. I am not a Digimon fan. Like I've never been into the franchise. I've never been super interested in it. I played this game when it came out, and it knocked my socks off. It's like a mix between a graphic novel and a like turn-based like strategy game, a la like a Fire Emblem game.
Okay.
And it's like 70-30 story to gameplay. Mm-hmm. The story it's extremely mature, extremely dark at times. Like, you know, the choices that you make like can affect whether characters like live or die in this story. Like there's real weight and stakes to it, which is and something I did not expect at all out of this. And I think it's one of the best video game stories I've played through in the last 5 years.
That's a good
and
shout.
The turn-based strategy is well done.
Cool. I'm gonna go with a little game called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. No, just kidding. No, I got a few here.
Hidden gem.
The first one I want to call out, this is a multi-platform, but The Tourist. Have you heard of this one, Justin?
I don't know The Tourist.
Yeah, it's a small indie platformer, and it's a 3D, I don't even know if platformer is the right word for it, but it's this kind of blocky Minecraft-looking graphics about a guy who goes to this like island resort for vacation, and you just do the most random things, like you jet ski, you do a jump roping contest, yes. You run a smoothie bar, but then it also has this super like weird psychedelic alien invasion plot where you're doing like platforming through these like super weird. Yeah, it's so random, and you're like trying to build this rocket ship. Is kind of the main end goal of the game, and I love like random quirky games where you do a bunch of stupid little side mini games that aren't all that deep, but you're quickly ping ponging around back and forth onto the next one, onto the next. That you're just constantly doing something new, and this game is really cool like that. And yeah, I think it's on Game Pass. So if you have an Xbox, I think it's there, but it is on Switch, and it's a ton of fun. Yeah, I think about this game sometimes, just super quirky, random little 5-hour game that I 100%ed. I was enjoying it so much. I did everything. So,
that's a good shout out. You know what is a game that I think about at a minimum almost on a weekly basis? That's a little indie multi-platform game. Is Sayonara Wild Hearts.
That's a good game.
Good. I'm glad you played it. It is a kind of a rhythm action game.
They call it like an album, I think is like how they refer to it as. Yeah, it's not a game, it's an album.
Like every level is a track, right? And all the tracks are distinct, but the music is wonderful. And the whole game really is like processing like the grief of like heartbreak and things like that, and it's presented in a like very like I'm like kind of like a almost not wireframe, but sort of like a classic 80s futuristic look with a lot of like bright colors and things like that. But the music is amazing. The gameplay is fabulous. Every level tends to have a different twist. And like there's one that like literally it's like Galaga. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it changes the formula a lot. It's not an incredibly long game. If you can ever, I mean, if you can pick it up, I think it's worth the full price. But if you can pick it up on sale, you can get it for like $5. It is a like deeply emotionally affecting in a way that, frankly, video games tend not to reach me. It's one where as soon as I finish the game, I like sent a message to like one of my best friends like for my entire life, and I said, "Hey, what is your like Steam?" And I bought it for him right away so he could play through it, just so I could talk to somebody about it.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
a good
yeah,
that's a good pick.
Great game.
Yeah, Sayonara Wild Hearts is the title of that one. Yeah, that's a really nice one. One I really like is this one's not super small, but I still think it's worth mentioning. Towerfall, you know Towerfall?
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is from Extremely OK Games, makers of Celeste, and it came out before Celeste. But if you know Celeste, really hard 2D story platformer with a dash mechanic. That dash mechanic is in Towerfall, but this is a competitive, same screen, 6-player, multiplayer game where you're shooting arrows at each other and trying to kill each other. And it's extremely like, it's easy to pick up and learn, and the skill ceiling is very high on it though. You can dash into arrows to catch them. You can stomp on people's heads to kill them. There's like 10 different types of arrows, like laser arrows that bounce around the room, drill arrows that go through walls, bomb arrows that explode. Like, it is so much fun. This is a staple for a certain group of friends I have. Whenever they're over, we're playing Towerfall,
Nice.
and it's a blast. It's an outstanding multiplayer local game for party nights.
It is such a throwback of style of game too. Like harkens back to Joust and like Super Mario Brothers, like those like way back like single screen like competitive games.
Yeah.
It's a really cool conceit that they brought back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait for the next game from that studio. It has a name. I don't remember what it is though, but it's not coming out for a long time. We've seen like 10 seconds of it. But yeah, Celeste and Towerfall, I love both of those games so much. You got more picks? Anything else?
I got one more. Yeah, I got one more. And again, this one's kind of a bigger indie title. And it has a sequel coming out really soon. That's going to be great on the Switch, and that's 20XX.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So this is frankly, if I made video games, this is the sort of thing that I would wish I would make. It is again. Imagine people who grew up with Mega Man and Mega Man X, and like they really passionately like created their own take on it. Like 20XX is even just a throwback to like the year in which those games take place. But they are an excellent like modern take on that like 2D like Mega Man formula, with a lot of really cool unique powers, and it's frankly like if it were a sequel to one of those games, it would be probably the best one of them to have come out in 30 years. It does things like it has like co-op modes, which is a really, really fun way to go through them. It's got a really cool protagonist, and her name escapes me. I don't remember off the top of my head. But and so it combines that Mega Man formula into a roguelite. And it's such a perfect fit. So it's a roguelite action platformer, like that runs like Mega Man and looks amazing. And I think it's great. And I think that I'm going to be all over 30XX when it drops. I think like in a month or two. I think it's out like this summer.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one. Should have known you would have picked a Mega Man. Like, do you like like Striker
that
Gunvolt
predictable.
games?
I like them okay. It's better than Mighty Number 9. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Mighty Number 9 is one of my bigger gameplay disappointments over the last decade or so.
Yeah. I'll give a shout out to Golf Peaks here. This is probably the most niche one on my list. It's called Golf Peaks. It's like $4, and it's just a little golf puzzle game where it's like isometric, and you have a golf ball at the start, and then there's a hole at the end, and then you just have to like use timing and angles to get the ball to the hole in like however many strokes it challenges you to do. So it's not like a golf game with like a meter where you're actually taking these shots and changing clubs. It's just like a little blocky puzzle game based around golf. that's very, very cool. And yeah, I like that game a lot. I 100%ed it also. I did all the challenges in the perfect score just because I really found it satisfying. It's very chill. It's a really good podcast game. Just like if you, for one of those nights we were talking about where like, I don't feel like diving into something super deep right now. Let me just do some golf puzzles and listen to a podcast.
Yeah, gonna have something on the TV or like while you do something else. Yeah. I love games like that. So that reminds me, like, I'm gonna throw an extra one. Curse to Golf came out last year.
Yes, I bought that. I bought that.
It is so fun.
It is fun.
It's like the effective story is you're a golfer who died, and then you have to like ascend up. It's like Hades but golf. You have to ascend up through the holes to like regain your life, and it has like really fun, like unique twists. Like there's different types of balls that you can get, and weird, strange hazards you can do. And a really fun golf roguelite that's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah, that's a good game. Yeah, I know. I have some other indie games I like, but I don't know if they're considered hidden gems because they're fairly popular. Like Golf Story, I think is just a brilliant
I was
game.
I was thinking that, but I think that was pretty well established right now.
Sports Story is one of the most disappointing game releases in a while.
I haven't played that. I've heard not great things about it.
Rough, yeah. Some stuff going on over at that studio. But Golf Story is a phenomenal game that came out when there wasn't much else on the Switch. It was like in August 2017, really early on. So that's a great game. Katana Zero, I feel like does not get the love it deserves. This game is incredible. It's like 2D.
I haven't played it.
It's amazing. It is one of the most stylish games I've ever played. It's 2D pixel art, kind of like Ninja Gaiden. Like
it looks extremely Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, you're running through these really meticulously designed areas. Sometimes you have to do stealth. Sometimes just all out action. And it has this cool like rewind function where when you mess up, you can kind of rewind and redo things you did wrong. And yeah, actually has a really interesting story. The guy who makes it has been working on DLC for it for like 4 years, and it's still not out, but it is going to resolve the cliffhanger story, which I played in 2018. So yeah, I'm excited to hop back into that whenever it becomes a thing. But Katana Zero is so slick, so cool. The soundtrack is incredible. I really recommend this game. I feel like it should have gotten as much hype as games like Celeste got or Meat Boy got. Like, it's of that caliber.
You think it's that quality?
And people just didn't talk about it, but it's so good. It's such a good game. But yeah, I think those are the main ones I've written down here. Yeah. And,
I think those are good picks.
Luigi's Mansion 3 is a good little hidden gem that you should check out.
Or Luigi.
Yeah, that's it. All right, I think that's our show, though. Another episode of the Toadstool Boardroom in the books. Thanks, Oscar and Chad, for sending those questions in. You can always send in your questions, toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. We're here every Friday at noon Pacific, but I think we're moving back to Thursdays. Probably, starting next week. So, look forward to that. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to your shows. And there's a video version up on YouTube, so you can look at me and Justin chatting with no VO or anything, just us talking the entire time, if that's something you're interested in.
The moneymaker.
Yeah, exactly. But for now, you can find Justin online
on Twitter @KOREIS.
And you can find myself @Logan J. Plant. Find the show on Twitter @ToadstoolBR. Have a great week. We'll catch you next time right here in the Toadstool Boardroom.